Welcome to Chaotically Nerdy, a podcast made by nerds for nerds. This podcast is made by adults, for adults, and for children with bad parents. Adult language will be used, and adult situations may arise. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Chaotically Nerdy. On today's episode is me, Tyler.
And me, Jared.
And me, Ethan.
And joining us again for the... is this our third episode? Third episode with you? Ashley. She drove 23 hours just to come record with us. No other reason whatsoever.
Okay.
Woo. Because we are the most important people in the world.
Yep.
Bullshit. Only one of you.
You fucking give me this. You allow me to have this. I fucking need a win.
Look how pathetic he is.
He's a win today. Really need a win.
No.
No, not really. I'm actually doing okay today. 3 days ago, that was a stretch. So today's episode is going to be about The Last of Us. Today is St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. And so the show just finished. It was this Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. The 12th. So everybody's caught up. Ashley is very mad at me for making her catch up.
Fuck both of you.
/ watch it.
Fuck all of you.
She says both of us. I'm the one that said, let's do a Last of Us episode. You have a whole week to watch it.
I can't include him in it because he literally held me while I wept during this fucking show.
I had nothing to do with it.
You're getting roped in there, sir.
Why?
It's fucking
What did I do?
Because you're part of the podcast.
Because you suck.
I mean...
See, no. Here's what has happened. He was there whenever she was crying about it. We couldn't be there, so now she's taking out her anger on us.
That's fair.
It's true.
Had he not been there, anger would have been directed at him too.
Yeah.
Not as much, but...
No, I hadn't watched it either. So
What?
I hadn't watched it either at that point.
I don't. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about her.
Your logic doesn't.
Being
it's not
mad about
logic.
the show.
You're not logicking.
I can't logic.
I know you can't.
IQ of 2.
Yeah.
Dumb
Plus
bitch.
like 3 stale goldfish. I'll give you the 3 stale goldfish.
I'll take it. They don't live long, but if I can space them out a couple days, I think I'll make it.
Doubt.
Fuck you.
You'll probably eat them.
Ooh, piece of candy.
Ooh,
Goldfish are delicious.
Not stale ones. They're gross.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
carp.
Yeah, just
They are carp.
cardboard.
Okay,
They're
so
cardboard.
That's not what I said, but yeah. Kind of.
oh god damn it!
Stay on the track.
Have you ever met us? There is no track.
There's
I can't believe I'm the one saying that.
We're on fucking mountain bikes, just going,
I'm usually the one
Off-road,
tangent.
going down fucking hill fast.
Yeah. Praying we don't hit a tree.
Probably will.
Or praying that you do.
One or the other. So, first off, have we played the game? There's 2 games with the DLC. So, have you played the games? The second season will be the second game. I've played the first one. I've not played any DLC. So, that's where I'm at. I do know what happens in the second one, and it's
It's going to be rough. That's all we'll say. I have not played either game or DLC. I just also, like Tyler, know what happens.
yeah. I've seen enough of it.
Yeah.
I avoid zombie games at pretty much all costs. Zombie is my least favorite trope.
They're not zombies. They're fungi.
Okay, they're fungoids. That's what Jeremy keeps correcting
Some people
me to.
call me a fun guy.
Not fucking me.
Oh, god damn it. I fucking hate myself so much.
But no, I avoid games like that. Post-apocalyptic, fungoid, zombie games. They're not my preference, but I have not played either of them. I did know that both of the games were very, very rough, but I was not interested in dealing with that bullshit. And
That's emotional trauma.
yeah, I have emotional trauma from this whole fucking experience.
I played the first one like when it came out.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't-
when I played it. as well.
And if you know me,
Like 10
I
years
don't
ago.
remember anything about it because I can't remember what happened more than like 2 weeks ago.
I have literally come to the conclusion that your head is just a fucking fishbowl.
Yeah.
And
It's
your
an
brain-
aquarium.
He's goldfish brain. He actually has goldfish
Yes,
brain.
he actually has goldfish brain, and your brain, your actual brain, is like the size of SpongeBob's brain, and it acts as a bubbler. And sometimes your fish get smart and realize things.
It's true. It's true.
So, before we get too deep into anything, there will be spoilers because I'm not holding anything back. I don't know if anybody else is. I'm not the type of person to try and tiptoe around things. There'll be
Jimmy Olsen.
I know you're not. Go fuck yourself every time.
Got to piss him off right at the beginning of the episode.
Goal achieved.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. So next up, did you have any expectations before the show with playing the game? So really, actually, this doesn't even pertain to you.
Nope.
Yeah, I did. I thought it would be emotionally
Damaging.
damaging. Yes, very much so.
Emotional
Because of the few things that I remember from the game
Emotional damage.
were sort of in the show in certain points.
Yeah.
So they did a good job compiling the story, even though it's not exactly the same, obviously. But
It's pretty damn close.
when I saw the cast, though, the expectation really shot up because,
Yeah.
Johnson and
They picked some good people. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was really good. It lived up to any expectation I could have had.
Yep. I went in with expectations, but they weren't met in a way. I expected more of the clicker stuff to happen because that's a very big point in the game, is that you get hit by a clicker every time, or like clickers or any of the cordyceps, really, the fungi. That happens a lot more than it did in the show. It was much more a human interactions with that shit happening in the background a little bit.
I think the only expectation I came in with was that I was going to absolutely have trauma from it, and I was not fucking wrong.
That's a good expectation. Jarrett, did you have any?
I had the opposite of you. I assumed that there was going to be more human stuff than clickers, I guess.
I mean,
Because I
it
figured-
makes sense.
Because the clicker stuff doesn't really interest me. Like after like the first couple of times you see them, that's
Yeah.
like, it's a zombie with fucking mushrooms growing out its head. It's what it is.
It's not a zombie.
That's why I said with mushrooms growing out its head.
That's what I remember more about the game. Like I don't remember the people stuff
But yeah,
as much.
if you wanted a accurate depiction of the game, Joel and Ellie need to die like in the second episode 5 times.
As they're trying to
Yeah.
fucking look through a cabinet.
Yep. But that's just would be dumb. So
Yeah, I agree with that. Ethan kind of hit on this a little bit, but how did you feel about the casting choices before and after the show? I thought they were all wonderful. Bella Ramsey was the only one that, I don't want to say worried me. It was, I mean, I guess worried me is the only real way to say it, because she was the only one I didn't have the highest expectations for, having just seen her in Game of Thrones, and that's the only thing I've seen her in.
it's a tough ask to have her play one of the more beloved video game protagonists in the last like 10 years, original ones.
Yeah.
Like people like will fucking
Oh,
stan Ellie.
yeah, they love her.
Yeah. But I feel like she delivered.
Oh, she absolutely
Yeah.
did. Did you have any expectations for the casting before?
I just was like, it's the year of Pedro.
It really is the year of Pedro
it's-
Pascal.
yeah, it's been great.
It's been good so far.
Ashley, did you? You jumped in at the end, so I don't know if you even knew who was casted for it or
Yeah.
knew anything about the show before
I mean,
I forced it.
I
Watch it,
dare
bitch.
you, pretty much. For those of you who are curious, Jarrett just stuck a finger gun at Tyler.
We really need a camera.
We do.
like of some sort.
I kind of knew the casting choices. Again, I knew Pedro Pascal was going to be a good choice. I also am a particular fan of Bella Ramsey. So I had high expectations for it, and I wasn't disappointed. Also, Nick Offerman is ridiculous,
Yeah, he's great.
but he was amazing, and I loved it. I cried. I cried like a bitch. I'm
You
not even
did.
gonna lie.
You did.
The gay guys hurt me.
Ethan, you already hit on it. Do you want to expand more?
I was just really surprised at, you just mentioned her, what's the name? I forgot the name.
Bella
Ramsey.
Ramsey.
Yeah, Bella Ramsey. The accent
Yeah.
was, I mean, you wouldn't have known.
It's
Exactly.
believable.
But
If you didn't know or see any interviews with her before, you wouldn't have known.
yeah, it actually threw me off when I seen an interview after.
yeah.
Like when
It
they were
really
doing
did.
like a press thing.
Yeah.
It threw me off.
Yeah, because that show, this show made me wonder, well, was she English to begin with, or
Yeah.
you know
Yes.
what was going on? I mean, just because of the accent was so good.
Yes.
It was really
She did an interview and she talked about that, and she said the first word she learned how to speak with an English accent was curse words. Like she started with fuck.
Okay, but that's kind of on par with her character for
Got it.
Ellie.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
but
that's
that's why she learned it, because Ellie says it so much. They were like, well, you kind of have to know how to say this one.
Yeah, I mean, there was like no person I saw on the show that I would want to replace.
Yeah.
I just
No,
thought
everybody
they were all pretty much
everybody
perfect.
did great.
Yeah.
So the changes from the show to the video game, there's not a lot, honestly.
Some of the
Is it not
placement
just
of
pretty much
events.
just Bill and Frank?
Bill and Frank being officially gay.
Well, not that, but like how their story ends.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest changes. So in the game,
It's way less tragic.
no, I
Well, I mean, like romantic
It's pretty
tragedy. It's more
tragic.
like tragic of like
It doesn't happen exactly the way it does in the show.
well, so I actually seen a video about this that was talking about it and said that it's meant to change Joel, and both do this in a way. So in the video game, it's meant for Joel to see that Frank died hating Bill because he was a grumpy old fuck. And at that time, Joel was a grumpy old fuck. So it's like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to die with people hating me, especially people as close to me as Frank was to Bill. But in the show, they take it and turn it to a kind of a love story, which is, and
I mean,
it's still,
it was kind of implied in the game, though.
it absolutely, they're called partners in the game.
Yeah.
It's not, but I think that's the biggest change from the game, other than just minor like casting choices.
Well, some of the locations of certain things were a fair bit different, but
yeah, nothing that affected it. It honestly is a very, very good adaptation from video game to show. I was going to say, I mean, next up is actors worth a mention, but obviously Pedro Pascal, Ron Swanson, the guy that played David, I cannot think of his actual fucking name,
He was creepy, dude.
and he did such a good job at it. And I've seen him act in other things, and he's not near as creepy.
He was fucking
But-
creepy the whole ass time that he was on screen, and I was just like, I'm really uncomfortable by this dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like first thing, like when he was in their cafeteria area,
you're just like
I was like automatically like, this is a cult.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Oh, he absolutely said out loud, "This is a fucking cult."
And I was like, they're eating people. Like I guessed it because I mean I played the game,
Yeah.
but I mean,
yeah.
But you're also a resident expert on cannibalism.
I mean it is. It's true.
Our first conversation where we talked about dating stemmed around cannibalism.
Oh yeah, it was about cannibalism.
Solid.
First chance I get,
You'll die first.
sink my teeth in.
I'm hungry.
Kinky.
God damn it. Rainn Wilson actually tweeted out, he was mad at that episode.
Why?
I think it was episode 8, because I don't know if he tweeted it out in the middle of watching it and not finishing it or what.
I don't know.
But he basically said something along the lines of, as soon as I heard him reading from the Bible, I knew they were going to twist it into him being a bad guy.
It was episode 7.
Okay, I didn't know if it was 7 or 8. I couldn't remember.
We made it to 7, the end of 7 last night before he had to go home. I had to go to bed, and Jeremy was already in bed at that point.
Gotcha.
I was falling asleep. So.
Yeah.
It's true. You were snoring.
But yeah, that's basically what he said. He said, as soon as I heard that he was reading from the Bible and he was Christian, they were going to make him a bad guy. But if you watch the rest of the show, the episode,
Yeah.
you know that he did
Doesn't.
that because he's manipulating
Yeah, he
people.
doesn't actually.
Yeah, he was
doesn't
using
believe in
it.
God.
Yeah.
At that point, he's just like.
Well, I mean
he's a
that's
tool to
that's
manipulate.
pretty typical of
Cult leader.
history.
Cult leaders,
cult leaders in
predatory
general.
people.
Yeah.
It's also typical of literature.
Yeah.
Say in the 90s, it was pretty common for people to write about cults.
Yeah.
And those cults were basing it off of the Bible. I mean, if you want to take it a step further, then you would have to say you didn't like Book of Eli either,
Yeah.
because that was the whole point of that. Was it was somebody trying to use the Bible to manipulate other people.
Yeah.
It's a trope for a reason because it
Yeah,
happens.
It
a lot.
happens.
A lot.
A lot.
Any other actors or actresses we want to mention besides the obvious Ron Swanson?
The one that I was least happy with, I think, was I can't remember her name. The one who plays Tess.
Anna Torv.
Yeah, that's it. I wasn't real happy with her, but at the same time, she wasn't in it that long.
Yeah.
So, so it wasn't that bad. It felt like it felt like Lieutenant Yar in Next Generation. I was pretty happy.
What's Tommy's wife's name? Maria, something
I
like
think
that?
it's Maria. Maybe I don't know.
I can't not
Maria.
see her in
True Blood. That's where I was
can't.
like, I see her. I'm like,
not see her.
I know this bitch from somewhere.
It's True Blood.
And I look it up. I'm like, it's True Blood. Ah, yeah.
I didn't look it up, but Tommy seemed very familiar too.
Because you know him. He was Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yep. Okay. Yep.
I mean, I've seen
Gabriel
him
Luna.
somewhere, but I couldn't
Yeah.
remember where.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even Agents. I've just
No, he's
so
been
I've
up
maybe have seen him from a clip of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, he's
It,
another-
it really showed up more when they got to Wyoming, though.
Yeah.
I had one, and I just literally blanked on my mind. I was gonna be like, I like that one, but never mind. I had it. You went to speak, and I was like, oh, and it's gone.
Deuces.
brain.
It happens. So next up, did you recognize the voice actors from the game in the show?
That's what it was. Ashley Johnson.
Yeah, Ashley did amazing.
With her one scene, I was like, I recognize those grunts and moans and stuff from her from playing the game.
Yeah.
If you ever hear any of her voice acting work, she just does like the same like efforts.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that.
I did not.
If
And
you-
I am surprised I did not recognize Laura Bailey.
Well, okay,
she's
Laura
about
Bailey's
it.
a stretch because she's hard to recognize in that. She's got a mask on. She's got the hairnet / thing on.
But the voice should have recognized.
she
She
doesn't
said, like-
even really have that.
She says like one line.
Yeah, that's fair.
She like screams.
Yeah.
So it's you can see
If you
enough
take-
of her to
yeah,
say
if you take a
that's
still-
fucking Laura Bailey.
And like look at it, you're like, ah, that's Laura.
Yeah.
In the middle of it, I wouldn't.
So Ashley Johnson in the game played Ellie.
Yeah.
So you heard a lot of her voice
Yeah.
originally, and then in the show she played Ellie's mom, and which actually was the first. That's one of the other changes they made was they actually kind of announced how Ellie is immune,
Yeah.
and it's that Ashley was bit. Anna, I think is the character's name. She was bit while she was pregnant. The baby was already born. She cut the cord after she was bit.
Yeah.
So they're basically saying got a little bit of the cordyceps in her, just enough to make her immune. It was like a vaccine.
Essentially, kind of.
The vaccine that killed the mom. Troy Baker.
Now, I did recognize Troy Baker. I did not remember that he had voiced Joel.
Yeah.
That's understandable. I mean, because he didn't really have a ton of lines in the show, and even when he did, it's not like he was talking like Joel.
Oh.
He did a Joel differently.
He didn't have
did
that
it
many
more
lines
gruff.
anyway, so yeah.
So Joel my God, Troy played Joel in the game, and he played James, who is David's right hand man, one of the cannibal survivors. Jeffrey Pierce, who is Tommy in the games, played Perry, which is Kathleen's right hand man. He's the guy with the big old beard.
The one that got his head ripped off.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Yeah, that's too much. Maybe too much of a spoiler.
No,
No.
I
All
said we're not spoiler
spoilers.
free.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, no, we can talk about it.
I
Yeah,
said
that was pretty cool.
He
it was.
he was the one who was concerned about the sinkhole underneath the building too.
Yeah. He was also trying to get her not to be,
a
A
dick.
bitch.
A bit.
yeah, caring.
She was kind of a fucking Karen.
She
Yes, she
really
was.
really was.
Craig Mazin, who is the creator of The Last of Us, he was the soldier that shoots Joel's daughter in the very beginning.
He's a fucking dirty bastard. That was the first time I cried.
That's-
The first time.
It's a rough start.
It
You're
is.
like, fucking shit.
Oh, I mean, if you play the game, you knew it was.
Yeah.
coming, so I mean,
It still doesn't make it hurt less.
No.
Well, here's my thing is as a mom coming in and watching this, like there's two primary things that I was really concerned about for the whole fucking show. Number one, as a mom, you cannot fathom what it is like to lose your child, and then watching somebody else lose their child, it is fucking heartbreaking.
And there's two major things there. I mean, it's Henry and his
Sammy.
brother, and then with Sammy, and
The little
then
boy.
and Sarah dying, both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, those two scenes absolutely fucked me up. The first one where Sarah dies, we were on his couch, and I was like, he was kind of like laying on me, and I was literally bawling into his fucking hair. I was just like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Moisturizer.
It was.
It definitely hurts more when you're a parent.
Oh, absolutely.
I've noticed I'm more of a bitch now.
You've always
cry
been
a lot
bitch,
more?
but
I have. I've teared up more at shows and stuff like that, especially like when it has to do with like a kid or something happens, and I'm like,
absolutely.
I'm not saying it's the same, but I have nieces and a nephew.
You're really close to
and
them, too.
I'm really close to them, and I kept thinking the same thing. Like,
yeah,
like especially during the Henry and Sammy, like, God, you know.
He actually had to cover my ears when that scene was going on because, like, I knew it was coming and I was already fucking bawling my eyes out. And he was like, just shh, shh, it's gonna be okay.
Yep.
He's like, don't listen.
And then obviously we mentioned Laura Bailey. She is Abby in The Last of Us 2, who is a very major character in The Last of Us 2. And then she just plays she plays a surgery nurse.
I feel sorry whoever they cast to be Abby. That's next season, so they're gonna get.
They got to do a really good job casting Abby. So
No, they're just gonna get a lot of hate.
they're gonna get, but that's what I'm saying. You have to do a really good job casting Abby because they have to be able to portray a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
I feel like they did a really good job with all of the casting in the first season. So if they're gonna go into it, they probably already have a really good idea of who they're gonna
I'm
cast,
sure.
and they probably already have it down pat.
Yeah, I'm sure. They did say, Mason did say something along the lines of he was going to recast Laura Bailey as something else to like kind of give her more than 3 seconds
And she needs it.
and a scream.
Yeah.
But since the others got pretty big-ish roles, they're not huge, but they're big enough that you see them long enough that you're like, hey. We'll move on to the Rotten Tomatoes score, which this is the last time I looked at this. It was before Sunday's episode came out, so it may have changed just a hair.
9's way lower.
9 is way
I
lower?
swear to God, when I looked earlier.
No, you're looking at IMDb. I just looked earlier. It may be 9.0 now, but on Rotten Tomatoes, when I looked, it was a 96% tomato and an 89% audience score. Also, I found this interesting. Whenever I found the each episode, it was nothing was below a 94%.
Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, for either category.
I
Or no, it was just a tomato meter, which was
you know,
just
this is a really high score for Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
I understand that. I still feel like 89 is not enough. I feel like people still bombed for the third episode. I feel like people still bombed because of the whole Bible thing. And I think people just need to get, you know, the barbed wire stick out of their ass.
Yeah. So IMDb was a 9.0. Well, I'll talk about the episodes here in a minute because I'm going to go through with how some of these episodes are ranked.
You should have said that. You
Well,
should have
no,
said that.
It's fine.
Maybe you should
Considerably
look at the
lower.
paper.
What?
Maybe you should just look
Fucking
at the paper.
read.
I'm not
It
reading
doesn't
that.
say anything. It just has the scores on there, so he's fine.
I'm not reading
That one's not on him. Episode 1 was a 9.2. I agree with that. I mean, I don't think it's bad. Episode 2 was a 9.1. I said I don't think it's bad. It's at fucking 9. That's a pretty damn good episode.
Pretty damn good story.
The whole thing's a pretty damn good story. Episode 3 is one of the lowest with an 8.0. So if you haven't watched the show, episode 3 is the love story between Bill and Frank. A lot of people have problems with it because it makes them officially gay. I mean, in the shows, they were labeled as, or in the shows, in the game, they were labeled as partners. Nothing more was said about that. There was never any real love interest shown between those two. In fact, Frank kills himself hating Bill. And Bill lives and then dies of old age, I think. So people probably did review bomb it for that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it
when
only made
look-
it down to an 8.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I look through some of the reviews, a lot of the problems that I seen that people had, like the lower reviews, where people were saying that it was taking an hour for something that could have happened in 25, 30 minutes.
See, personally, from my perspective, I feel like they did a really, really good job of skipping through time and showing the progression of them being together. And it's very, very obvious that Bill is an asshole, and that Frank was definitely more open to the idea of people. And I feel like they did a really, really good job of introducing Joel and Tess to Bill and Frank, at the same time that they did a really, really good job, for me at least, coming into this with no expectations, of explaining why it's so big when they both die and giving Joel and
Tess.
Ellie
But no,
Ellie.
Ellie at that
Ellie
point.
a way out
Yeah.
so that they can leave. I found it really, I thought it was really good personally. But again, that's me coming in with no expectations. And I also absolutely enjoyed the episode because the second thing that I went in knowing about the show, aside from this show being hard as a parent, was going in, watching somebody that you love die, and there's not a fucking thing that you can do it, and being alone in this world. I feel like the way that Bill and Frank went out together, for me, was the way that I would want to go out if I was in a situation like this, because I don't want to face the fucking world alone by myself, especially when there's very few people already.
In some ways, you know, and I understand, but where it's coming from. But in some ways, I could see where Frank's point of view, where you know, he's obviously in pain. He's obviously having a lot of trouble. It's not fun for him anymore. Life is not enjoyable for him anymore.
It's a struggle.
Right. It's a real struggle, and he wants out. And I understand that. But at the same time, asking somebody else to do that is
a lot.
Very,
to put on them.
it's really selfish. And, and I think that it feels like it's a real story because
Absolutely.
it feels like it's a real thing because, everybody knows like that couple, like when you were growing up or after you got out of high school, whenever you experience it, you've always seen that couple, whether they're older or younger, where one of them is failing in health and the other one is not.
Yeah.
And they have to make a decision for each other. And it's really hard. And I don't think I've ever seen that being really taken care of in a show
And portrayed.
in depth like it has
Yes.
in that episode.
For a second, can we just talk about what was Frank suffering from? Jeremy and I were thinking that it was ALS, but we couldn't necessarily tell from the.
I don't know. I don't know if the
game
game ever
discuss it?
said.
I don't
I always assumed cancer.
It could have been.
It could have been. That's the one that we didn't think.
Yeah.
Of.
Well, I mean, cancer can cause so many issues.
Yeah.
Well, and like a lot of pain and
One of the suggestions that Ethan actually made was a possible minor stroke, too, which would have taken away some of his ability to do things.
And without major treatments.
But
Yeah.
he had dexterity in both of his arms, which is why I was like, maybe a stroke, maybe, probably not.
You said ALS or MS.
Yeah, those were
either
Jeremy and
ones
I. Yeah.
Would have been qualified here.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. I just didn't know if the game actually discussed at any point.
I don't remember it, but it would have been like a lore thing.
It would have been like in a written thing you'd have to read, and
I can't
TLDR. So
I'm
I know
finding
he's looking
nothing.
up now.
Yeah.
The only problem I have with this episode, and I have it with any episode that has, I don't want to say this situation because it's going to make me sound homophobic, but that's not the case. Any show that has a sex scene, I do not need to see the entire thing. I would prefer if you show them kiss, the bedroom door closed, they wake up in the morning, all their clothes are off, and then you move on.
But it's HBO. We got to have our gratuitous sex scene.
I mean, I get that.
they
but
didn't
I don't need
actually.
it.
They didn't actually
They
do that much.
No, not that I noticed.
There was quite a bit, more than I care for. And I mean that with
What?
man or woman. Like,
Well, I
you saw him
understand. No,
go
I'm the
downstairs.
same way. No, I'm exactly the same way.
Yeah.
But I don't. I mean, you saw him go down, but I mean, you didn't see any parts.
body
No.
parts.
No.
But whereas, with Game of Thrones, it was very fucking obvious what they were doing, and they did it a lot. But with this one, I think they did it really,
Tastefully.
tastefully is a good word for
It's
it.
a bit more than some people would want to see. I understand. I really didn't care to see it specifically, but it just didn't bother me that much this time.
You didn't complain at all when it was going on, and I feel like
No.
if it was not as tasteful as it was, it would have been brought up in conversation. And you have to understand, we were also watching with a gay person,
Yeah.
and he was just like, "Yeah, okay, it is what it is." But there wasn't a lot that he could have commented on, meant like, "Oh, well, this is wrong," or "This is right," or what have you.
Yeah.
So I feel like they did it really very well. I don't feel like they did too much. I feel like they did just enough.
that's just me. I mean, literally any sex scene. I'd rather they kiss and close the door and then wake up. All your clothes. That's literally all I care about.
You're a bitch, so that's on par.
Fair enough. Next up is 8.4, which is the third lowest. I don't even remember what happened in episode 4.
That's the where they, I guess it was at Kansas City where they go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first one. In
Oh,
Kansas
like
City.
whenever they drive, it's them driving in the car the whole time.
Yeah,
That's it.
thank
He was bitching about the whole Kansas City scene. He was like, "Why the fuck would you go there? Why the fuck
Yeah,
would you go there?"
I would
Why
rate
the
this
fuck?"
one. I would rate this one so much lower because I used to live in Kansas City. Like, why are you driving through downtown?
Yeah, fair enough.
There are a billion roads that go around Kansas City, and you're going through like a somewhat
I'm
sort of zombie thing.
I'm assuming that he was going to go to the QZ or something. Maybe, I don't know.
No, they were talking about driving straight through.
Yeah.
It was
No.
straight as
Maybe they just thought maybe
No,
the
they
city-
were. He was talking
No,
about driving
I mean,
straight
they
through.
wouldn't want to. Why would they be stopping in the QZ? They're trying to avoid
I don't know.
all of the
That's not the thing I think of
federal
because
stuff.
they commented that the QZ was down, so they went like directly by it.
Yeah,
which would
So
make sense.
it was
I don't
for
know.
it was for story.
Yeah.
There was no logic to going straight through downtown. That would have been the stupidest
I-
thing you could have done.
I mean,
And it was.
The reason
Turned
they
out to
did
be.
is because the road was blocked. That's the sole
They
reason.
were heading, the road that they were blocked on was going straight into downtown. I've been on that road.
That I don't know.
It's I think it's 370, goes straight through downtown.
Well,
Sounds about right.
that's where you just have too much knowledge to enjoy the show.
No, you take every big city has an outer road. It's called a bypass. That's literally what you take to bypass downtown. Like it was just a stupid mistake.
Yeah.
It was a stupid story choice. I would rate that lower simply for that fact. These 2 episodes should never have happened.
He bitched the whole fucking time.
Oh, I will keep going.
I don't doubt that.
Then episode 5 is a 9.5. Is that the one where they
That's where they meet Sammy.
is that where they meet, or is that
That's the end of the episode where
Yeah.
Sammy dies.
okay?
And
Yeah. Because that whole thing is
Henry
like
kills himself.
Yeah.
That's all one episode where at the end of episode 4
Four.
Yeah.
is when she wakes up and they're holding
That's
a
right.
gun.
Yes, and then it jumps straight in with episode 5. Got it.
Yeah.
And then episode 6 is an 8.9.
That's
that
the
the
one where he
Wyoming
gets
one?
stabbed.
Yeah,
Yep.
No,
That's-
no, it's the Wyoming one.
that's
That's
seven.
the
That's
Yeah.
the
Wyoming.
Wyoming one where
Yeah.
he meets up with Tommy.
yeah, which is a really good episode.
Again, I can't get past fucking
True Blood.
True Blood. I can't.
Episode 7 is a 7.4. That's the one he gets. No, that's the DLC episode.
That's the DLC episode.
So episode 7 is the DLC where they show Ellie as Bit. She goes with her friend.
Let's go to the mall, everybody.
Yeah,
So, episode 3 is where they did like the whole we overdid the backstory, the kind of flashback thing. They overdid it, but they did it correctly. They told a story that was actually interesting.
yep,
And episode 7 is where they did the wrong thing
yep.
to me.
Yeah, I would say so.
What's interesting about that is episode 7 is a much more direct adaptation from the game.
Yeah.
Because episode 7 is literally the DLC. They took that and said, here it is, versus episode 3 being its own thing. The reason that most of them, besides the review bombs, because they were mad, because there was review bombs on this episode as well, but the ones that I seen that weren't review bombs were...
That's
it
because they're
was-
lesbian.
Yes, that's why
Yeah.
they were review bombed. The ones I seen that,
Stupid.
It's almost like they never played the second game. Where it's just
or played the DLC.
Yeah, but like some people will skip DLC and be like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like they could have taken all of episode 7 and condensed it down really, really quickly.
That was the complaints. Everybody
Yeah.
said it was an hour for 15 minutes and
Exactly.
it didn't do anything to progress the story.
This is where I agree
That-
with that.
That was the biggest complaint
Yeah.
that I seen was it didn't do anything to progress the story. It literally just shows how Ellie got bit.
They could have told more story in that time period.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
And there was no need to know.
I didn't care about all the little shops that they went to in the mall.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we're going to go to this boutique. Oh, look, we're going to go to this fucking
Like,
place. I don't care.
The
I don't fucking
arcade,
care.
and then go to
The Spirit of Halloween.
the Spirit of Halloween. Anything else was pointless.
Yeah, it was a lot of bullshit that it was just, oh, okay, we're sitting through this. We were scrolling on Discord at that point.
The whole drinking on the rooftop. I didn't care.
I guess I never even thought about it. Like playing the game, I was never like, I wonder how she got bit. It was just one of those things like, she got bit.
See, I was curious about it, but I also like knowing the backstory for a lot of things. So for me, it was interesting to see, but again, they could have condensed that shit down way far.
I just figured as rowdy as Ellie was, she was out fucking around and got bit somewhere.
That's fair.
I kind of just made that assumption somewhere down the line, I guess. So episode 8 was a 9.4.
That's
Which
the
we-
cult one.
Yeah, with David and Ellie goes all batshit on him, and
Yeah.
that was just fucking top notch.
I would not fuck with her.
No,
Absolutely not.
even though that's like her 4th kill.
Well, still with a cleaver, it's her first one. Well, second.
See, she kills James.
She
Kill
kills
James.
Well, if you play the game, there's a
You go, yeah. There's a lot more than that. Yeah.
you can kill everybody with a cleaver.
Yeah. I feel like this scene was a lot different in the game, though. A lot different.
How so?
I don't think
I
she.
can't remember it that much, but I feel like it was.
I don't think she stabbed as much. Like I don't like stabbed. I don't think she hit him with the cleaver as much, and it burning down was more all around you,
Yeah.
not like in the just one concentrated area.
So the fire was spreading way too quick.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, that was not good. That was like, meh. It also doesn't spread across wood beams like that.
No.
That doesn't happen.
No.
Not without like an accelerant.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless they like pre-covered it in like lighter fluid.
I'd also like to say that the end of the episode where she comes outside and Joel grabs her.
Yeah.
It was him calling her baby girl that got me. This was the last episode that I cried at. It was that moment that I was just like, oh fuck, it's happened.
That was the last episode you cried at?
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't cry at the last one?
I didn't see the last episode. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We never got a chance to watch it.
Oh, fuck. I think it's one of the best ones on here, but that's
scary.
personal preference.
We're gonna go watch it after this and cry.
Yes.
You will cry.
Well, no wonder you didn't recognize Laura Bailey. You haven't seen it yet.
No, I saw the clip.
Yeah. Gotcha. And then the last episode is rated at a 9.1.
Describe what happens in it.
Okay, so they get there.
Big time. I would say big, relatively large time skip. It seems like
Yeah, like long enough that they're showing up at the hospital.
Joel seems fine now.
Yeah.
Aren't they in Colorado at this point? Is that where they were going? I think it was Colorado.
I can't remember where specifically. But so they get to the hospital. He drops her off. No, they're not even at the hospital. They get to see a giraffe. That giraffe is not CGI. People are pissed.
That was a real giraffe.
That was a real fucking giraffe. So
Yeah, I
there's
saw that too on a
Yeah.
clip, and that's just bad lighting.
Yeah, there was
It's
a
just bad lighting.
there was a real giraffe in the episode, and because like they're looking for the hospital, Joel's taking her around,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Hey, come look at this." And there's a fucking Ellie's yelling
Yeah.
at him to come look at it, and it's a giraffe.
I think I've seen that clip too, actually, online.
And
Well, people were making a big deal about it this week.
yeah, they were
So,
like CGI, the CGI is shit, and then people were like,
This
"It's
show
not."
has almost no CGI in
Yeah,
it.
it's pretty much all practical.
Oh,
or
yeah.
real.
That's the best way to go about it.
It
though.
really is.
It's so much better.
So as they're looking through there and they're trying to find the hospital, they get down on the ground and they start walking. They are snuck up on by the fireflies who knock them out. They take them into the hospital, and Joel wakes up. Ellie's nowhere to be found. He asks Marlene, right?
Somehow Marlene beat them to Colorado.
Marlene is the one who,
Was trying to get Ellie to the hospital.
Yes.
I do remember her.
she is also the one who took Ellie, like
Oh,
she
they
knew
won't know
Ellie's
this
mom.
because they haven't watched. And at the beginning of episode 9,
It is the beginning of episode 9. Marlene is the one who took Ellie as a baby from Ashley Johnson and like basically raised her, put her in the Fedra camps.
yeah. Ellie's mom and Marlene were like best friends.
Yes. And Marlene shoots Anna. Yeah. Because she's bit. So Joel wakes up and he asks where Ellie is. She says, "We're prepping her for surgery. She has cordyceps in her brain. We think we could take them out and break them down and use them. Or we
Like
can
to
take the...
synthesize the cure out of like the cordyceps that grows in her brain.
Yeah.
Because it releases a chemical that like camouflage.
Yes. And they say, like, we're going to take the cordyceps out of her and da-da-da-da. Joel puts it together. That's in her brain, and it will kill her. He then goes fucking John Wick.
Oh, it's fucking awesome.
Well, again,
Holy
at the end of the last episode when he calls her baby girl, that was like the click moment for me where I was just like, oh,
Oh,
he
that's another one
absolutely
that's going to
sees-
make you really sad. He talks about how he tried to kill himself.
Yeah.
And,
Lovely.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's one particular scene where he's talking to Ellie, and she's like, oh, so time heals all wounds. I get it. Like, acting like she knows the story, and he just looks at her and is like, it wasn't time. And they just, like, stare at each other for entirely too long, and it's sad.
Oh, that makes me want to cry.
Yeah, so then he just goes full
John Wick.
John Wick, which if you play the game, you have to fucking play it like 18 times because it's such a fucking hard mission. Like, you die constantly
Can imagine.
in that one. And he takes Ellie off of the table and leaves.
Yep. Says fuck the world.
He shoots the doctor that's about to do it.
Yep.
The doctor is, interesting enough, Abby's dad.
Oh.
That's why the shit that happens in The Last of Us 2 happens.
That makes sense.
And he takes her away. It ends. It honestly could have ended like, I don't know, 5 minutes earlier for me.
I think that.
I think I said that.
Yeah, you said
the
it in Discord, but I feel like the reason it kept going is because they're setting up season 2.
They are, and I get that.
So they can't just end it there and be like they open season 2 where the game starts and it's 5 years later.
Yeah.
They got to kind of set up that it's they're how the relationship's gonna be going
Evolve.
forward. Yeah.
Yes, because it ends with Joel lying to her.
Yeah.
She says what happened. He said they had other people there studying like other people like you, and they've given up on finding a cure.
He's like,
Gotcha.
Because Ellie would have absolutely been like, no, kill me, it's fine for a cure.
Yeah.
So, and he couldn't deal with that.
Well, I mean, after losing your first fucking kid,
Yeah.
and
then
there's possibility of losing your second kid, no thank you.
it'd be rough. So next up, any problems with the show or any certain episodes that we have? Like I said, I've already explained mine. I don't really have any with the other episodes besides 7 not advancing the story to me.
Yeah, 7 was too much. It could have been condensed down considerably.
Yeah.
And we would have gotten to the fucking point.
Jarrett, do you have any?
No. I mean, everything we've already said, like 7 was not needed.
Yeah.
I guess not needed, but like over explained.
Yeah.
I feel like my complaints are about like typical problems with any show. For story reasons, they make stupid decisions as characters, like the decisions that they wouldn't make because they're smarter than that.
Yeah.
Let's follow the fucking monkeys. Let's not.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Don't follow monkeys. Monkeys are terrible.
Monkeys are assholes.
Yeah, they're awful.
Monkeys are assholes.
Plus, they're also too close in relation to us, like genetically.
Yeah.
That I feel like it would be a danger that they would be contaminated.
Well, I mean, baboons are far enough away from us in our lineage that they might be okay.
Well, those weren't chimps, I guess.
No.
But I mean,
But yeah, I do agree that the monkeys were close enough that it would have mutated even just a little bit to be able to infect them as well.
and that's always been an issue with the story from the game originally was if it can live in humans, there's no reason that it can't live in like deer.
Any other animal.
Deer.
Any other mammal.
Yeah. Well, dogs. Like, it can live in those too. And there would be no reason for the cordyceps not to at least attack those things.
That was one of the problems that I seen people had with episode 4. Is that the one where the bloater comes out and rips off that guy's head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People had a problem with that because they were like, the cordyceps whole thing is to infect everybody, but here they are ripping off heads and not being able to infect people because they're just murdering.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like there's some things for story or for shock value, like ripping off a head, that I think that they do that don't make a lot of sense. But that happens in like every TV show ever.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's not really a real complaint. I mean, it's taking like maybe 1% off of like the total value.
Yeah.
Less than 1%.
Maybe. 1%,
Maybe.
yeah.
So any changes that we would make to the show, I don't have any. This is probably one of my favorite shows I've watched. Quite honestly.
It's really well done. She's told me she hated it while we were watching it.
But that was because she's upset.
Actually, what I said was, I hate it here.
You said, I hate this show.
I mean, probably. I was probably also bawling my eyes out.
You
at
were.
that
You hate
point.
that. You hate the show for making you feel this way.
Yes.
But it's
Which
really
means-
well done.
It
Yeah,
did its
no.
job.
It's
I have to say-
insanely
Exactly.
well done.
I have to say that even though I hated it, because again, as a mom, as a significant other at this point, it really bothers me to think about, what would happen in an apocalyptic scenario. And I did hate it for the entire emotional fucking suite of trauma that I did. But overall, I think it was really well done, especially for a post-apocalyptic game. I have a really bad stutter. I'm sorry. I think they did it really well. They did a really good job at it, even though I fucking hate that I'm going to cry myself to sleep at night for the next, 2 weeks.
I think it also bothered you with the whole like significant other thing because like what if you didn't have a life insurance policy on it?
And at that point,
4.5
it's the
years,
apocalypse.
bitch.
You're not going to have one.
4.5.
4.5 years, bitch, TikTok. Put a ring on it and then you're fucked.
Jarrett, anything you'd change?
No, I mean it's I don't want to use the word perfect, but it's like a really, really fucking good show.
As far as video game to TV adaptations, I would say it's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing in this that was
If
in the
it's-
video game that needed to be in the show or vice versa.
If it's not perfect, it is the closest to.
Damn, they are
Exactly.
perfect. I actually have a question for you guys, and it's not on the script at this point. Comparison from book and or game to show. How would you compare this against The Witcher? Do you think The Witcher did a really, really good job going from video game to TV, or do you think The Last of Us did it better?
I think The Last of Us did it better.
Okay.
Tyler's thoughts on with the witch. Well, we haven't seen season 3 yet.
You mean the last season?
Yeah, the last
You
season.
mean the one where Henry
Apparently,
Cavill
it
is
was
no
so
longer-
bad that he, had to abandon ship.
I don't even say that. So I have not played 1 and 2 of The Witcher, so I don't know how closely the story relates and how they stay along the lines of that. But I have played The Last of Us, so I'm able to say on that one, just from playing The Witcher 3, they do Geralt very well. Like, he is pretty well spot on as a Geralt from the video games. But The Last of Us story, the entirety of it, I can watch it and say, I remember that from the video game. Okay. I remember this from the, like, as soon as I got to the hospital, it clicked because I hadn't remembered it. But then they got there and I seen the way it looked and I was like, this is going to be bad.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, even with my goldfish brain, I was saying that during episodes, like, well, that seems familiar.
Yeah, absolutely. You actually did pull me aside before we watched the whole cult episode, and you were like, there's a chance that somebody could get sexually assaulted or damn near sexually assaulted, and he was like, you need to, like, let me know if we need to stop watching it. Because, obviously, like, there's things that have traumatized me in the past.
I couldn't remember where it happened in the story exactly, but I knew it was later on in the story.
David felt very rapey, so I think that
He
was
was.
probably the...
Did you know he was a school teacher before the apocalypse?
Yes, he was a teacher, and then he became a preacher. I remember that stupid fucking rhyme. Jarrett?
I don't know. They get a lot of weird like lore stuff wrong in The Witcher and stuff like that I'm like, we're not fans of.
That's why I'm saying, like,
But
the video.
from actual video games, like, it's pretty close in both like. But yeah, I would say Last of Us is better, more accurate.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah,
I would say in general, I'd find this show far more entertaining.
Yeah.
Even like outside of it being with video games, I would say that this show's far more entertaining. It's easier to get into. It's easier to grasp what's happening.
Easier to follow.
yeah.
Easier to follow, especially for the first season of The Witcher. Yeah.
I was the only asshole that was still awake at the tail end of us watching The Last of Us, so
Yeah.
easier to follow. I'm
And-
going to air quotes that.
Yeah.
Last question before we wrap everything up. Did you notice the crew mistakes? There was 2 specifically where you could see the crew in them.
Nope.
I believe it was episode 4, maybe 5. No, 5 or 6. It was whenever they get to where Tommy is. There's like a snow, and they're like showing the bridge, and you can see the crew like on the side of like in the tree line, so you can actually see the crew there.
No, I'm a total sheep when it comes to watching shows. I look exactly where the director wants me to look.
Oh,
Yeah, but
same.
that's the thing. It's like an overarching wide shot that you see them in.
Yeah.
And then the second one is
But even in those, they have focal points that
Exactly.
they're looking at.
yeah, like you're looking at the bridge because it's a
Yeah.
bridge. Like it's the center of the shot.
That's a nice bridge.
And then in episode 7, whenever Ellie and what was the other girl's name?
Maria?
Whatever her
No.
name was.
No, Ellie and what the fuck was her name?
I don't care. I literally don't care about that episode.
She's dead. It doesn't matter.
I have to know it now for me.
But as they're sliding down the escalator, you can see the camera at the bottom of the stairs. Like they almost were going to use that shot at the bottom and see them come down. But I just found it interesting that you could see the camera in multiple.
Crew mistakes like that never bothered me so much because
They never have. I just always find it interesting
But it's
whenever
funny.
you see it.
It's
It's kind of
funny,
like the
yeah.
Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, yeah.
Or like Ian McClellan's watch in Lord of the Rings?
Yeah. There's also a car and an airplane in the background in the original theatrical cut
I would have
when
never
they're in the
known.
Shire. Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with Ethan where if people don't point out the fuck ups, I won't notice them.
I seen it afterwards.
Yeah.
That's,
It doesn't bother me so much because I know it's not real to begin with.
yeah.
So it's not going to take me out because
Yeah.
I'm sitting on a couch or on a bed or on a chair
Yeah.
and I'm watching it.
Like I said, I literally didn't see it until afterwards when it was either IGN or somebody had shared it on Facebook. And I was like, oh,
It'd be one thing if it was in the video game because they'd have to actually physically put it in.
that would be interesting.
The number of people that sit there and actually like nitpick and watch to just pull shit apart, I'm just like, just fucking watch the show.
Enjoy
please.
shit.
I think that's
Right?
people that watch it multiple times. Because I've noticed when I watch things multiple times, I watch for that stuff more the second time.
Which makes
He
I
does.
looked at Ethan because this is what Ethan does. He watches shit multiple times. He goes, I actually hate it now.
Yeah,
Accurate.
that's why I don't watch so many things twice in a row.
Yeah,
Like they don't hold up usually.
it's understandable.
Like there's like one thing that's
Well,
held
once
up
you know
no
what's going to
matter how many
happen, your
times I
brain
watch
starts
it.
going like, other places. Be like,
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
You
That
start
doesn't-
looking for the problems.
I think one of my biggest bitches for the whole thing is so for those of you who aren't a part of the Discord and don't know, I'm in college full time. I literally took a class last semester on the anthropology of drugs, which is a really, really cool class. But one of the things that we talked about heavily was mushrooms, and I found the cordyceps thing the hardest thing for me to swallow because cordyceps doesn't give a fuck. If you had put another mushroom type, another fungus in there, it would have been way more believable. I get that they just picked a very common mushroom type, but if you had gone with like an amanita or a claviceps, that would have been a lot more sense. We actually were talking about ergotism as a good possible
Yeah, but you brought up a good point about the amanita too. It would have just killed you. It wouldn't have.
Yeah, I mean the ergotism, the claviceps family, the genus would have done a better job of poisoning you.
Yeah.
Only because I wrote
Has.
Oh, I wrote a paper on it on ergotism. I feel like that would have made a better fungus to pick versus a claviceps.
But the general distribution that they used in the story for like through the grains and through the syrups and through the sugars,
which would have been ergotism flat out because ergot lives on rye.
Yeah, I don't know why they picked cordyceps.
Yeah.
Unless it was just because of the name. It's a little bit more
recognizable.
I always figured that's what it was.
Yeah.
I never gave it more than 2 thoughts.
I'm coming out of college having done a
having
class
just
on-
seen about it. So that makes sense. Okay. I think that will wrap up the Last of Us episode. Any other things we want to say real fast? Nothing?
No.
Okay, good, because I didn't want to hear anything anyway.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, Tyler's a bitch. There you go. There's something to say.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
Tyler with the boobies.
Hey. Yeah.
You'll have to subscribe to our Patreon to find out what the hell that means.
Yeah. Those movies.
Them moves.
We thank you all for listening. You can find links to our Patreon. You can find links to our Facebook, our Instagram, our Discord, everywhere else we're at in the description, in the link tree. So use that and find us and give us your monies because I'm poor. We're all poor.
Yeah.
I'm the only patron at this point.
Yeah, it's true. Goodbye, guys.
It's like the movies. Right?
Juice.
Goodbye.
Yeah, like Jello molds. Shaky.